I just have a sense of this is what I deserve. This is what this is what I deserve.
I feel happy now, which I haven't felt in a long time.
It feels like you're being treated as an adult human being again.
I think what enables me to have the control is I'm told, I am independently living, and that word is used a lot. This is independent living. The fact that I have extra support is just that enables me to live independently. And I think that's also what's so exciting, because it's like saying to somebody, we could put you in a residential home, but we're not going to. We're going to give you the chance to live independently, but we'll just give you a few props that will enable that to happen. And I think that's really makes it feel really empowering for me.
The fact that I decided what we were going to be doing in our support sessions was quite a big thing, rather than having somebody come into my home and say, oh, you haven't done your washing up, or silly things like that. Instead, I could say, right, I want to volunteer, I need help to do that, and let's do it. That was a major difference to the way things were before.
I think I felt less lost, less alone. Began to feel more confident in myself and my ability to ask for help, because I knew I could actually get it. I feel in control because I feel I can ask someone if I need to speak to somebody. I can arrange extra meetings with my personal key worker if I need to discuss things with her. All staff are open for conversation, so I don't just have to talk to my key worker. If there is a problem, I can talk to the deputy or the manager, and they're always open to talk.
It's a powerful position to be in, because actually you have a voice that can be heard. But what I sometimes need is help as to how I put that voice over. So how I'll be understood, and how I can express myself without my condition getting in the way.
I think as I became more aware of being in control again, I became more confident in that I was doing things off my own back without any worries, whereas before I would get very anxious about things. I realised that it's my life.
It's like they just continuously look at, well, what can we do next? What can we? If a problem arises, it's not, well, that's the end of the line now. I used to believe it was the end of the line. They've spent more time saying to me, Helen, your place is not in jeopardy. You are not going anywhere. We just give us time. We need to find a way around this. We need to think about it. And then they would come back and they'd say, right, how about we put this in place? Will that enable it to be safe enough?
I think I've become a lot more perceptive and self-aware. And because of that, people do trust my ability to explain where I am on my journey, whether I slip back or move forward, and to explain where I am in recovery.
It's partly scary, because you've got to take that responsibility, but it's also very empowering. It's being respected, and that's all anybody ever really wants, is to be respected.
Previously, I'd start things like GCSEs or A-levels or my degree, and my illness would get in the way and I wouldn't be able to finish it, so I felt like a failure. Everything I tried to do, I never finished, and that was because of being ill, and I blamed myself. I shouldn't be feeling this way, I should pull my socks up. People around me don't seem to be feeling the way I'm feeling, what am I doing wrong?
In the past, it was very much a case of they had very strict guidelines of what they do or do not do. the only volunteering available was to make tea and coffee at the resource cafes. There were no opportunities, and it was very hard to see a future and a way out of it. The lack of control makes you feel like you're being treated almost like a child, which I think is rather offensive. Just because I have a mental health problem does not make me stupid or 6 years old. And it was very, very frustrating for me.
So disempowerment doesn't really do, I don't think there is a word that you can find, but all I know is that I used to just sob and sob and sob, feeling robbed. I guess that's how it felt. It felt like I was being robbed of who I was, and people were losing sight of who I had been, what I'd been, how I'd been. Suddenly, they'd lost sight of all of that, and all they saw was somebody, I guess, that was poorly, but I ceased to be. I was a duty of care. I became words: duty of care, risk assessment, procedure, lots of different things, but I ceased to lose who Helen Jones really was, I think. And then the dissociation began to become even worse, and the difficulty with it is not a lot of people really understand the condition very well, so that was causing its own problems in how to work with me and how to understand me. And then it all culminated in me eventually being placed on a deprivation of liberty, because I was classed as so unsafe to be left on my own. So I had somebody with me all the time, and that was just, at that point I'd say that was the lowest point in my life.
I was receiving floating support from another organisation when Together won the contract in my area, and they brought the Your Way model, and so they actually took on the staff that were there before and got them to work in the Your Way. And that was my first experience of Together. It was same staff but a completely different approach.
I was in one of my admissions at Mulberry Lodge, which is the psychiatric hospital for Winchester, and I had previously been living independently in Eastleigh, and that didn't go very well at all. I wouldn't leave the house, I couldn't eat or wash or cook or clean or anything, and so eventually I got admitted to hospital, and we discussed about more appropriate accommodation for me, and that's when my care coordinator said that she'd heard of a place called Kirtland House, which is where Together runs, and that's the first time I heard about it. My mental health has definitely improved. In the 2 years that I've been there, I've only been hospitalised maybe once or twice, and again for shorter periods of time than previously, maybe 3 months, whereas my last big stay in hospital was 18 months before I went to Kirtland. So it has helped with my mental health. I still get the down days, still get the low points, but they don't last for as long, and they're not quite as severe.
I'd been there approximately 4 or 5 months when I had a review, and they told me that the manager from Willow Tree was coming, and I said to the staff, they must be getting a vacancy and they must be considering me, and the staff spent all the time trying to say, no Helen, don't get your hopes up. And I said, I know this organisation, they don't waste the time. They wouldn't come and give me a false hope. And sure enough, they came to the review. The manager didn't admit at that point that there was a vacancy. She just wanted to see how I was. She hadn't seen me for quite a while, and she was so impressed with the progress I was making. And that was when they began to talk about how I might be able to go and live at Willow Tree. I've
been through several services, been in and out of various hospitals, seen various people along the way, but moving into Kirtland and having Together has really been the first step up on the ladder for me. Whereas before I was always in a bit of a hole. It just depended how deep it was and how far down I was in it. But Kirtland and Together have sort of been a light at the end of this, really.
I chose to pull out of school at 14. I didn't have an education. I went back to school, literally to college when I was in my early 30s, did my GCSEs, did my A-levels, and then went on to do a degree. And the day that I picked up my degree, that was the same feeling that I felt when the car pulled up at Willow Tree House and I walked through the door, and I had this key and I walked up to the flat. And I opened the door, and as I opened the door, it was a feeling that passes all understanding. It was, I've made it, this is mine. And that was the same feeling I felt when I got my degree. It was like, nobody can take these letters away from me now. It doesn't matter what happens. I've worked hard and I've gained them. And I feel I worked really hard to get to Willow Tree, to enable me to have that key that was just mine and open just my flat door, and it doesn't open anybody else's. I've never had anything like this before in my life, so everything was new. You know, like I said, from the day that I opened the flat door, you know, having my own ensuite, I've never had an ensuite before. You know, sort of like, well, it's not an ensuite, is it? So it's because it's my flat, so not having to consider somebody else, just having to consider me. Play on my iPad for a bit, and I'll watch some TV, and then I might do a bit of reading, and nobody's saying, should you be doing that? Would it be a good idea if you could do this? Or would you mind just doing that? Or you don't mind giving us this space, do you, Helen, while we have a conversation? No, because it's my space, it's mine. Nobody can take that away. So that's where I saw the most change happening.
My care coordinator was absolutely over the moon with me. To the extent that when she signed me off from the CMHT, she said, I'm not going to worry about not seeing you again because I'll see you when you come back as my boss.
Now I feel that there can be a future and there can be things that I can enjoy doing, and not everything I try and do is going to turn out wrong. I've learned that actually I didn't cause it. It wasn't my fault. If I had a choice, I wouldn't want to feel this way. And it's nice to know that I'm not scared of what's around the corner now, because if I do have a low point or I do hit rock bottom, I've got the support I need to climb out of that big black hole and to carry on with life again. And I'm not gonna let my illness beat me. I'm not gonna let my illness define me. And I'm not gonna let my illness make me scared of trying new things.